Welcome everyone to our February webinar. We've got for today a theme which is automation show and tell. Basically, I've thrown down the gauntlet and put up a reward, $50 for whoever in the Coach Accountable community has the best show and tell of things that they figured out to have Coach Accountable automate away some of the drudgery of doing the day-to-day coaching stuff. We have a lot up our sleeve of what we know. Community members want to step up and share with that. That's all the better because we'll get some more spirited conversations. Otherwise, we'll just kind of go through the agenda of things that we know to share when it comes to automation, and we'll go at that. I want to open with sort of just a thought, which is kind of from our manifesto, and I think it's worth sharing. I'll read it now. We believe that there's no replacing the magic of coaching for a real human being. Coach Accountable here, we're a technology company, but we have no illusions that technology will or should ever replace the human element. That's what makes coaching great. But we do know that the human element is helped along with supporting technology, specifically solutions that address where it falters on its own. And with that in mind, let's take a look at those sort of solutions that can kind of help along where the human element of that magic of coaching could be helped by technological solutions. So it's not just automating away the drudgery, but also making the coaching itself better through doing things that aren't really conducive from the regular day-to-day. Let's get to it. So let me share my screen and we'll look at some of the basic stuff and see where it goes. One of the things that Coach Accountable automates that is a very pedestrian feature, but I think it bears mention to bring in the context of automation is the various notifications and reminders that the system will send out in the normal course of events. So, for example, action reminders are a kind of automation. So if you make actions items for your people, which we highly recommend, if you're having a coaching session with someone, it's really good form, I find, to distinguish 1 or 2 or 3 things that they should be doing that would have them actually acting on your coaching during the time between now and the next time they'll talk. So if we have an action item, something like, get some ice cream. So do something very neutral. We'll pretend this is actually something relevant. You give it a due date. Hey, between now and next time we talk on next Tuesday, please take some time and do that thing because we talked about it and we distinguished that will be important to you. You might set a due date, but also set some reminders. And these are sent out automatically, which is basically the non-invasive sort of technological tap on the shoulder, like, hey, you haven't marked this done yet, so don't forget to do this. It's the stuff of helping people to actually act on the coaching that they wanted to, because as we all know, probably, life gets in the way, and best intentions to actually follow through on good coaching ideas can often fall by the wayside. So a little bit of technological automation to give people a nudge. Hey, don't forget, that thing's important. And if you get it done, we'll be actually moving forward and you'll be getting your money's worth from this coaching experience. That's a nice little bit. So that's automation when it comes to action items. Similar things apply when it comes to metrics, when it comes to reminders to actually track the data. If someone's, out to meditate every day, you might measure that in minutes and have this be an exercise to do over the next 2 months. And maybe we want to track it every single day. And the reminders, yes. Send a reminder, which is again that sort of tap on the shoulder, like, hey, how many minutes did you meditate today? You can send it via email or text on days when it should be entered. If it hasn't already been done, we don't do any redundant reminders. But basically that again makes sort of a little technological nudge, an automated, hey, don't forget on a nice respectful clip that takes a good idea into being more of a refined habit, something that they bring to their life because it, in an automated fashion, it's coming to them to actually do that reminder. And then they get to report. I mean, one of the things that's nice about metric reminders is they can reply to either a text or an email, that reminder that you have set, and just type the number like, oh yeah, it's 17 minutes, and this is nice, thanks. And with very little friction, with very little hassle, we're kind of automating the data collection, as well as, hey, don't forget to do this and don't forget to mind this. Men tend to this metric. That sort of helps it to happen. So that's that bit of a reminder. Any questions so far? Any things like that? Usually I'm interrupted more, and I almost forgot to. I did forget to say Lecturing monotonically to a group is super not fun, and I don't know about you guys, but when you do that in class and back in the school days, you're just kind of there and taking notes and passively doing. Rather than that, I encourage everyone to just interrupt as you see fit, because that's what makes this a more spirited dialogue. So that's all I have to say about that.
Hey, John, this is Laura Tucker. I have a question for you about that metric response.
Yeah.
If they want to put in a comment, because we can capture that with the metric, is that possible with either the text or the email response?
Yes. Just like I'm typing in here, that comment, same data entry is possible in an email or text. So for the email, you just hit reply and you type 16 space or return or whatever, and just type a comment and then hit send. And CoachAccountable will pick that up as both the number here and, ooh, there's a comment, so let me append that.
So whether it's a space or a second text?
Not a second text. You'd all put in the same text, but for text, you just do a space, and you can actually type a new line in a text message. Most people don't really bother to, but you could. But yeah, just a space, 16 space. Hey, that was really great. Thanks, Coach, for the inspiration. Send. And then both the number and the comment are recorded.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Great question. All right. Next one, sort of in the similar vein, we're just kind of cruising through these first ones. Worksheet assignments. You can have reminders for worksheet assignments. Same principle. It's that nudge, don't forget to do this, that you can set and email or text. Now, unlike reporting data for metrics or even marking actions complete, that's another thing that one can do by replying to an email notification about actions. You can't fill out a worksheet from one's email, but these reminders do put someone one click away from actually logging them in, bringing the worksheet right up so that they can go with no friction. So there's no need to fuss or fart around with like, coach, I forgot what my username or password is, so I didn't bother. We make it really easy through these reminders to actually automate, as it were, them actually doing the work of filling that out and getting the benefit of taking that time to noodle on things. Another bit of automation related to worksheets is when you're assigning a worksheet, you can actually do it right off the, most of the time you will, just say, okay, let's assign this right now, or you can assign it later. So you can sort of do a future-based worksheet assignment and say, all right, this worksheet, we just talked about these things on our call. I don't want to overwhelm my client, so I'm going to just have the system send this out tomorrow at, maybe in the morning. That'd be great. And then automatically in the, for the client, they'll get this worksheet with a notice, hey, so your coach just gave you a worksheet. And much like those notification reminder emails that I mentioned earlier, it's really easy. It has a click here to get cracking. They click and they go right there. Any questions about these things? All right, cool. Another bit of automation is scheduling reminder or appointments. So we can schedule with our clients. If you guys haven't played with appointment scheduling, there's a lot of ins and outs to that. I'm happy to field whatever questions, but when you're setting up a schedule with someone, you can just, again, pick the date and time. You can view your availability, and this is the stuff of syncing with your calendar. So whatever calendaring system you use, the system CoachAccountable can know when you're busy, when you're not, so that you don't accidentally book yourself for days when you're not available. Reminders, again, help both you and your client to be on time, well prepared, and so forth, meeting. And the system will also, if you wanted to, send pre-worksheets and post-worksheets. When we go into the configuration of appointment types, this is what this is all based on, but you can basically customize what sort of things you'd like to be sent automatically to your clients, either prior to a worksheet, which can be a really nice way to prepare them, make sure that, hey, we're going to talk in 24 hours. Please take a few minutes and answer these questions and mark this done before we get on the phone. That gives them an opportunity to get excited about the call with you, as well as you to have a little window into what they're dealing with and what they want to get out of that call. It's a really nice way to give them more than just the session itself, that prep time that makes it count even more.
Hey, John. Hi,
yeah.
It's Karina.
Hey, Karina.
Hey, is there a way, so my clients self-schedule, is there a way to send them a reminder? Let's say it's been 2 weeks since the last schedule. Hey, don't forget to schedule your next appointment.
Hang on, let's see. The system will track when they've had their things, but there's no such thing as an automatic trigger to remind them to do that. Interesting idea, though.
Yeah, I've never thought about it until, we mentioned this part here. I was just wondering about it.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
Yeah. Hey, Carla.
How are you?
Good.
Last time we talked about using the appointment scheduler for potential clients. Can you do that without adding a whole bunch of people to your client list? And if so, how?
Well, when someone schedules with you via your offering, well, let's look at that real quick. To Carla's point, offerings is a way to make a widget on your own website that allows prospective clients to book with you. And also to Carla's point, when they schedule with you, they're a full-fledged client in your system. Now that's kind of a bummer for the purpose of billing, because to your point, Carla, like you don't want a bunch of people who are like non-committed paying customers who might actually bump up your subscription price with CoachAccountable. But the good news about it is what offerings make possible is it's not just the scheduling system, but it handles so many other things that can sort of get them onboarded in a way that's more than just like, oh, I booked with this coach and we'll see how it goes when I talk to them. You can have them fill out a worksheet as part of their signing up for a thing, which is a nice way to sort of automate the onboarding process. You can have them get started in a course, which is a massive power tool of automation where you can kind of slow drip whatever materials, messaging, action items to do to get started, and even just kind of get them into the flow of working with you before they even get on the phone with you. A couple other things like that are all sort of in play, but what that means is they are full-fledged clients. And the only way to avoid, clogging up your account with those is, well, if they're not really taking advantage, or if they're not really, panning out as a prospective client, you can deactivate them after they've had whatever onboarding experience that you kind of set in motion automatically as a function of, hey, you signed up for this, so these things are going to happen. Hopefully there's something like maybe it's a 2 or 3 day or maybe a week-long window where they can kind of play with that in advance of your call, and then you can come to the determination of that prospective client is either going to be a real client or not so much, and thanks for giving me a try, and we're all good. Once you make that determination, you can simply deactivate that client, and then they're kind of in your system, but they don't count towards your subscription plan, and they're no longer sort of in the mix of the various functionality and sort of interacting with you as a coach that CoachAccountable affords.
Okay, yeah, so sometimes I do like health events where I'll have, a volume of calls, and so I'm trying to think about how to do that when I have a volume of people. When it's just 1 or 2 here and there, that totally makes sense, and I love that. But if it's like 10 people, I don't know, I'll have to think about that. But I love the automation inside of that.
Right
and
on.
I can see the value of it.
Yeah, have you come to any particular case where it is sort of problematic like that, where you have like that sort of avalanche, and yet that doesn't really, having them being CoachAccountable as full-fledged people isn't actually doing you any favors?
Well, I haven't tried it. I haven't scheduled the calls or used the offerings yet. So, yeah.
So what we're finding, and we haven't done much science from it, but there's been a lot of rave reviews about offerings. We added it just in January. It's going well. And part of why I think it's going well above just sort of a Calendly or Schedule Once or Acuity, all great systems. Those are just commodity scheduling things and nothing more. So that'll help someone to book into your schedule and appear on someone's calendars, click to add to your calendar. That's great. But it doesn't actually give them more of the experience of being coached by you outside of a date has been set. Whereas CoachAccountable does, which allows them to sort of get a sneak peek of your style, start to do the work before they even talk to you. The hope is, and I suppose at some point we should science this, that conversion rates are higher when they come in through the CoachAccountable thing, because you can give them a more comprehensive experience of what it's going to be to work with you versus they schedule with you. So that's, I don't know, I think if you try that at a fair and get 10 signups, please let us know, because then, if 5 out of 7 or 2 out of 7 or 8 out of 7, that's a really nice percentage point. The math is easy. And I'd love to know.
I think what I'll do is try it at an upcoming event, and yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Right on. And for what it's worth, I mean, not to talk against my own system in terms of billing and profitability, everything that you do, you can kind of, or at least possibly, depends on the rhythm, fall under the radar of the billing system. If you're at the beginning of your month, say you're billed on the 5th, that's when your billing date for CoachAccountable comes up. You can go gangbusters and have a bunch of people sign up and determine after a week or 2 or even 3, most of these I can just deactivate. Yeah. You'll never actually realize being at a higher level for billing purposes, because you could just downgrade right before you even get through to the next billing cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Ooh.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, great questions all. All right. Let's see. I love the detours though. This is nice. I was going through my agenda just a little too quick. I was afraid this is going to be like a 15-minute. All right. Scheduling with people. So let's go have fun. Here's a little bit of automation. If you use engagements, that's your way of telling the system, okay, this person is set up for a 10-pack. And when that runs out, please send me an email, or when they're like at session 8, please send them an email so they can kind of reflect and think about whether they want to re-up. When you have someone in an engagement like this, you can get notifications like this where it's like, hey, they're actually done. They're either the window of their engagement, time-based, is over, or they've gone through their allocation. And like it says here, you can still schedule if it's fitting, but it's a nice way to sort of have the system keep tabs on where are they in terms of all the number of sessions that they get with you. So we'll ride roughshod over this little message and just schedule.
I'm trying to follow, John. So how does that get triggered? Like I believe when you set up a client, you would have to say this is set up as not an ongoing client that can book any which way he or she wants, but it's a set number of sessions, and then the system will recognize it that way and put it in the drop down.
Yeah, this is a feature that we just launched in December. And there's a full webinar on it actually, but I'll go into it briefly. This little handshake icon is the stuff of setting up an engagement for a client. So Julie's now in an engagement, so you can add one. You can create your own templates. We'll skip over that because it's very similar to this, but we'll start from scratch.
Terrific.
Basically say, okay, we're gonna 6-month plan. I'm not sure there's much. And then we get the months. The allocation can be in hours or appointments. Maybe get 12 appointments. And then there's other things you can set up, like rules of which appointments apply that can sort of selectively filter out. Maybe you offer something like a quick 15-minute check-in. Well, that doesn't count. You can just call in and we'll be cool about it. So anything that's under 15. So we'll only count if it's between 16 and 100 minutes, things like that. Notifications can go to those parties. Like I said, maybe as coach, you want to know when the total number of requested appointments gets to within 1 of the allocation. Please send me an email. And maybe you want the client to get a notice when they've requested, or when you've got 8 verified ones. So maybe if it's a 10-pack, when you get within 2, let's send them a nice note. Hey, you're now currently within 2, and we want to talk about this. You can customize the templates for these messages elsewhere in the system, but that's the gist. Oh, and then finally the invoicing plan. When someone is in an engagement, you can do a recurring sequence of invoices that sort of the automated rolling of handling the billing, so it's not a problem as you're going.
That's great. I just need to set up my contracts differently. I need to set up engagements, and I've set them up differently where I had that in the contract, but then would still send out the invoices. So this is very helpful. I guess I missed that now.
I don't know if you were on the line earlier, Karina, while we were riffing before, but yeah, most people who we've even been on the system for a while, there's a lot of features they don't even know exist. So these things are a good way to sort of presence all that. So I'm really glad you asked and got to pick that up. All right. Back to appointment scheduling. These are all kind of intertwining bits, aren't they? Let's see here. We've got to do the coaching call. And again, reminders, pre-worksheets, post-worksheets. We could do a series of these. It's very common, like, okay, we're in a flow. We're just always going to do Tuesdays at 2 p.m. So we'll just, book out the next 2 of them every week. Or maybe it's every 2 weeks or 1 month and so on. And just schedule a block of these all at once. All right. So that's another bit. Now let's go see a nice part of automation, which is, like I said, it's also supported by other commodity systems you might be familiar with, like Calendly, Acuity. which is syncing with your calendar. So here in appointment config, we can set up those appointment types with, standard reminders and what worksheets should or should not be sent out, and what's my availability on a typical weekly basis, so the system knows what time slots to offer. But this new thing is the calendar sync. I'll just remove this and redo it. So you can sync with your Google Calendar, or, and this is totally new for this one, sync with Outlook. Full-on synchronization of the calendar with Outlook is now in place. So we'll just do that really quick. And if you use Outlook Exchange or Outlook.com or Outlook 365, you can sync it with your calendar, give CoachAccountable permission to publish to your calendar and read whichever ones are appropriate in order to determine when you're busy. Give it a minute, there we go. So now any appointments that we schedule will automatically be posted to my calendar, and then when it comes to determining when I'm available and when we need to dodge around for avoiding double bookings, read from these things.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Can, on the client side, can they, when they get the appointment notification, can they add that to their Google Calendar or other?
Close. So there is the model of like click to add to calendar, and I'm not a fan of it because it creates a little work every single time you get a notification. So the way around that we recommend at CoachAccountable is your clients have the exact same power as you do here, which is to sync with their calendar of choice. That way, when you schedule with them or they schedule with you, to Karina's point, both parties automatically have it published to their calendars of choice. Kind of like the Cadillac solution. It's a one-time setup, set it and forget it, and good to go.
Cool. I need to let them know that.
Yeah, it's easy to miss, but let them know that they should go to the My Account page, and then for clients, they have a thing called Calendar Sync on this little left menu, which is the exact same thing as the one we saw here. Yeah, we integrated with Full Sync with Google about a year ago, and I was surprised that almost no one asked for Outlook. And so I let it slide as a big new feature to do because it's kind of a pain. But I had a great conversation with a fellow named Martin in Australia last month who said, yeah, there are two kinds of products out there, when it comes to our organization. There are those that fully integrate with Microsoft products, and then there are those that we don't use. I was like, that's a really great perspective into the world of like sort of more corporate mindsets of that sort of thing. So that lit a fire under my butt in a very positive way. So I just took the last 2 weeks to add that into the mix. So if any of y'all in the Outlook world or have clients who are in the executive world and office folks, this should be good news to them.
Awesome, thank you.
Bad. Okay, let's move on. Any questions about anything I've covered so far? I'm just going to take a break. I'm talking an awful lot of the percentage of time, so I'm just gonna... We're good. All right, I'm hydrated, ready to go. The next thing is what I call the Starter Kit course, which is kind of a classic pattern of automation that CoachAccountable allows, which is courses in general allow you to make a sort of timeline of standardized events, things, content to drip, assignments, materials, whatever you want. It allows you to sort of build in ad hoc fashion. Now that's really nice if you offer like a 6-month program where you've got tried and true tested material that to slow drip, and you want to sort of automate that part of the system so that you as coach or your team of coaches can focus on delivering the one-on-one attention in addition to that more standardized stuff that doesn't change from person to person. But there's a nice hack in that. Well, you can have a one-day course that just does all the work of setting up and templating out. Well, yes, I give loving one-on-one attention to everyone because I'm a coach and every person is unique and all that. But everyone I work with, there's just a few things that always are the same. There might be a video I want them to watch. There may be 2 or 3 action items I want them to take in the first week. Hey, maybe I challenge people to actually clean out their car and dust off their apartment just to sort of get their physical space in alignment so we can do the work inside. Things like that are sort of standardized and scripted in playbook, you can automate as a simple little course that's 1 or 3 days that templates out these common things just once so that you can set it on motion for any new client that you do and have that nicely tailored and standardized. So got a standardized kit or a starter kit course from this from the past. But you can imagine just sort of with this little builder, you can put whatever kind of are useful. So maybe there's a welcome message on day one. Maybe you want to have a little assignment, please read this and then, do a worksheet based on what you read. And once you finish that, or once you access this file and give it a read, then you can get this worksheet assignment. And once you finish this worksheet assignment, we're going to have a couple of things here, like another action item to do, and then a message. These are all easily built with the course builder tools of okay, action. Day 4, we're going to have another one. Notes. Just little basic ways of templating out sort of the standard playbook. And this idea, of course, this can be extended, just from a one-timer of this is how we do it. Or as you get working with people and get into a flow and a rhythm, you might tease out that you actually kind of do have a program. Maybe the first 3 weeks have a lot of common things because you've battle tested them and they work really well. Automate that by a course. Make it into a single thing, and then with a few clicks, you can put anyone in it at any time.
I love that. And this is what you were suggesting too for a potential new client, right?
Mm-hmm. So this is really nice for people who sign up the usual way, but also if they sign up via the offerings thing. You can create a course that is basically, here are the things that I want to again set in motion and automatically deliver whenever anyone signs up for that introductory complimentary session.
So great.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's do another trick. Any questions about courses? They're kind of a whole topic unto themselves, but have you guys gotten a chance to look at these? They're kind of intimidating, but once you realize it's just a drag and drop and kind of create these bits, and then you just add people to it, and you're good to go. Powerful thing. All right, I'm going to show one more thing about a course that I think is really cool, and I don't know that anyone's ever taken me up on this advice. But you can basically have your general purpose scheduling engine for everyone as on their own individual track. And let me unpack what that means. I'm just going to create a new course that's going to be a dummy shell course. I'm just going to call it Scheduled Items. Maybe I'll just make it, about 6 months, half a year or something like that. It doesn't matter too much. I'm going to make sure it's hidden from participants, and I'm going to set it up. So here I've got this 180-day course. It's blank. I'm going to leave it that way. Not interesting at all, but that's all right. What I'm going to do is say I'm coaching Jamie Bear, and I'd like to, let's see, we had a lovely conversation call. I just got off the call, and I'd like to remind him in 2 days, don't forget to stop hitting your sister. Jamie's my son, and they fight with my daughter all the time. So I could send Jamie a message to the system right now, but that sends off to him right now. And we saw that we can schedule worksheets out, but that's not quite the same as a message. But let me add them to that course, that little shell of a course that I made. Scheduled items. And I'll say it's starting right now, totally hidden. And we'll make that here. We got it scheduled. And now I'm going to do one thing. Remember that course is blank. It's empty. Nothing's going to go out. I mean, if you look at the timeline, he's on day 1, and by the end of day 180, nothing will have happened. Totally useless course, right? But I'm going to click the edit button, and let's modify the participation, basically customize this course to be tailored specifically for Jamie. What this is going to do is do a little spin-off version of that course without loading my course stash with everything. And now I've got the scheduled items for Jamie Bear specifically. So now I could say okay, it's Tuesday. 2 days, I'd like that message to go out. And I can send it to the participant, which is Jamie, and say, okay. And I can even be a little cheeky about this. I can set a time, I'm just gonna have it send at 11:14. Or sure, yeah. So it seems a little more organic, just at that part of their morning, I just want to send that off. And so basically what I've done is scheduled the system to send an email to my client at a given time in the future. And anytime I feel like it, I can kind of go back to this, and you know, if it's now in March and we just had a call on some Thursday, I'm like, this is great. You know what? I don't want to inundate him with this sort of thing, but you know, tomorrow I'd like him to be able to watch this video. That'd be really great. And just customize this message. There we go. So again, say we're in the future and I just get off the phone on March 7th, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just have that video send off to him automatically tomorrow. I don't want to, again, put too much on his plate right now. And so at any time I can just kind of pop in here, and you know, if I'm having a coaching call with someone, I can decide, like, after I get off the phone call, like, maybe let me schedule a few things down the road that I'd like them to do between when I'm going to talk to them next time. It's a way to, again, give a little touch point and love in the space between those sessions without you having to hover over or being too on top of it and drive yourself nuts with all the minutiae of circling back again and again. Just schedule out some things. Again, I have to call, click on here, the schedule, and go. Yeah.
Wait, so how did you get back in there? You went to his courses?
Yeah, exactly. So if you go to courses, this little star, see, that means that this is like customized for Jamie. It's the scheduled items course, but remember that's a blank one, but I spun off a custom version of it. It's his own little version of the scheduled items course. And this star means, yeah, he's in the custom version. So if you want to edit it, just go here.
Okay. Oh, this is so brilliant. I love you guys.
Thanks, Carla.
Well, this is exactly what I wanted to know how to do, but I hadn't thought to ask, because I was like, well, it doesn't have automated messaging in the system to be able to automate those kind of messages. I mean, it could be like a birthday message or whatever, right?
All right. Let's just put that on real quick. Actually, Jamie's birthday is in January 17th. We'll just say it's.
That's beautiful. So you would create the general course once and then just copy it to each client that you wanted to use it for and make it custom to them.
Correct. That one course that I made is just sort of a shell holder, and then the real juice is in spinning it off for every individual person to have that be their own little personalized, like, scheduling dispatch. Like I said, that mouthful of a phrase that I used earlier that's so ugly. A general purpose scheduling engine. That's this. And hopefully now
I love that.
makes more sense.
This is better for more custom work with clients, where a course would be better if you have a set routine for each client.
Yeah, courses are great because they're routine and reusable.
Yes, yes, that's what I meant.
Split those two.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oops.
So this is Laura again. I have a question, John, related to this. I had started to create a sequence of emails in my email management system for the CoachAccountable onboarding process, which included an email specifically for setting up their calendar feed,
Right on.
You know, a message or an action to update their photo, basically, and I want to build it out. So this seems to me that I could create that in a course in CoachAccountable, which keeps it native. And then if I understand what you're saying with this shell course, it lives as a single course in courses that's empty, but then to customize it per client, you go into the client file under their courses and work on it there. Is that correct?
Basically, yeah, there's two. You can customize, you can start a spin-off version of a course for a given participant from any which way. So here we could add someone to the course real quick and just focus on it. And then now, just like I hit the edit button when I was on Jamie Bear's courses tab, in the course participant listing for the shell course, I just bring this up and say, spin it off. Yeah. And now this is Cassandra Robbins' course, where maybe we want to do this different stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. You could set up birthday emails or messages, anything.
That's right. And then just pop back to Cassandra. And again, anytime I want to go, I can get there from either here, her own individual courses tab,
Right.
or in general, the scheduling engine thing here.
Ah, got it. So they're like in their sub items under the main shell course.
Yeah, so there are participants, right? I mean, these guys are participants in the scheduled items course. They just happen to be in their own spin-off custom version of it.
Got it.
This little star is what brings me back to the editor, so we can get it from both angles.
That's really smart because it doesn't clutter up that courses page with a separate course for each one of them.
Yeah, so there, as the developer of this whole system, there are certain use cases that kind of break my heart. Like, oh my God, that's clunky. And there have been people's accounts where I've gone in to check their work and stuff, and I see so-and-so's course, so-and-so else's course, someone else's course, the same exact thing. I'm like, oh, that's really messy. But this is a nice, tidy organization of it.
John, this is Dana.
Dana?
Can we assign multiple courses to the same person then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's where you can kind of, with reckless abandon, just use these courses. Have a starter kit course, have the scheduled items course, have the 3-week program of like getting over being whatever. Like all these sort of things can be in tandem, and you can stagger them in terms of rolling delivery so that, you know, this one might start next week and the starter course started when they did it and so on.
Great. Thank you.
And John, the client can't see, like they don't have this view, right? To be able to see that they're in the general messaging course.
Correct. Well, that's that participant visibility thing.
Oh,
By
okay.
default,
So you control that.
Exactly. Now you could make it so that you can see this whole thing, but yeah, for basically, it's kind of like a trick of smoke and mirrors of automatic delivery of things when it comes to the scheduled items thing. So yeah, you don't want to see that. But it is a really nice way, in its defense, it's a really nice way for you to like think about it through, like, okay, I just talked to so-and-so. I bet they'd love to, you know, get this little reminder of X, Y, or Z in about 3 days from now. And I bet they'd love to hear a loving message about their birthday when it happens in May.
Hey, John, this is Andrew. How are you?
Hey, Andrew. Long time no talk.
Long time no talk. Can a client see all the courses that I'm offering besides the one that they're taking?
No. So your courses are sort of like your own little tools to sort of deploy as you see fit. Okay. It's different from like what I think you might be talking about, which is kind of like a marketplace of course offerings.
Correct.
And fun thing, if you want to do that, you can. That would be the stuff of an offerings bundle. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm on here. You guys know about offerings. Maybe we talked about it a little bit, where basically in an offering, you can set in motion any number of things that when they sign up, what is implied. And Andrew, to your point, you could make an offering with this course and then a different offering with that course and so on. And then you can create a bundle, which is like, hey, here's a bunch of offerings, you pick. And we can create a bundle real quick by, you know, just like, add the offerings, and we'll just add this one, and maybe not that one because that's kind of a duplicate, but you know, if we wanted to take more time, we could make this pretty. So we make our 2 offerings and prices assigned. And then here's what an offerings bundle looks like. We put 2 different offerings in them. And so first they can choose, and then they can purchase, or, you know, book, as the case may be, you know, all the rules of like what's part of this offering entail. And payment. So here's the trick about this. For your new clients, this is really clean cut because they're just signing up for the first time and they're purchasing the offering of their choice. For existing clients, the system will actually recognize based on their email address, oh, well, welcome, Andrew, one of Andrew Finkelstein's clients that we already know about. Cool, you just purchased this course. We're not going to create a separate client account because that would be super messy, but this is your way of sort of self-serving to like, yeah, I want to purchase this course of Andrew's for $3.99. So that's kind of how that works.
That's neat. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Great call. Question. What else? Anything else? Yours turning good?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't have a comment specifically on what you just said. I think you're doing such amazing work. I'm just sold every time. Like you re-evangelize me every time I jump on a call.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And I got your card, by the way, too. Thank you so much, you guys. That was really sweet.
Right on.
So I wonder if I made it too complicated, but I wanted to figure out two things. One, when I get a bill from you guys, I want to automatically convert that to a PDF so I can then drop it in with, my weekly session to do my bookkeeping using QuickBooks. So, I need a PDF to upload the bill. So I was thinking, how am I going to do that without having to manually do all those steps? And I'm at least one step further ahead. I use Zapier to do that, to connect with my Google Drive to do that. So that was really helpful. But I wonder, like maybe there's another way of doing this so it automatically would download as PDF, maybe from within CoachAccountable.
So printing, you can, here's a fun thing. You guys can print most anything nicely. And this demo account, it's kind of a weak spot of this demo. I don't have any invoices on file to do this.
Oh, no, not my invoice, by the way, right? Not my invoices to the clients, but the invoice I get from you, right?
Right. That's what we're talking about. So we're in the My Account screen, and this is basically your CoachAccountable invoices when you pay to CoachAccountable. You can click to view an invoice, which loads up in a pop-up, and then you can save that or do, you can print in like most browsers and operating systems have a print to PDF option. So that might be it. It's not fully automated, but that'll, with a couple of clicks, you'll be able to access anything.
That'd be good too.
Print it to PDF.
That'd be good too. Well, I know I get an email from you automatically, so I just took that and put that in as a filter, like find this email, right? And then when the email comes in, turn it into PDF. And so I find it in my folder automatically with all the other ones.
Is this QuickBooks you said that needs it as a PDF?
PDF or text file. I prefer PDF, so it's all the same, basically.
Right on.
Yeah. And then another thing, I don't know if what everybody else is using for their CRM. I started working with HubSpot, and I wanted a way to not like double generate the entries, right? So a client entry, like all those forms, instead of going into HubSpot and saying, okay, email address, phone number, all of that stuff, it takes it right out of CoachAccountable right now. So if I put a client in CoachAccountable, it will generate a contact in HubSpot saying, this is the status of the contact, the stage, it's closed, with all the information that I need in there. And that helps.
Is that a Zapier that you set up?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most, so we get occasionally questions for integration with CRM, but it's not a general integration that people want so much as, again, that exact Zap call. When someone gets to a certain point in the CRM funnel, automatically set them up as a client in CoachAccountable, or vice versa. If I set up a new client in CoachAccountable, put them in as a contact. And both of those are well supported by Zapier. If you guys don't know about Zapier, I'm glad you brought this up, because how can we have a conversation about automation without getting into the API in Zapier? Settings, system, API access. So by default, it's off, but if you just check this button, you can turn on the API and you've got all your credentials to do your stuff. And then you can actually use these credentials into Zapier and click this link, and you can automatically connect with CoachAccountable to do those sorts of things. We're eager to having requests, just like it says. Most common cases we already got on lockdown, but if you have one that is not available or exposed for whatever reason via Zapier, let us know. They're usually pretty quick to add.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before I move on to the next thing? Cool. All right, the next one, just the general idea of keeping you apprised in automated fashion, can you kind of keep tabs on what your clients are doing and how they're doing so that you can sort of be brought to your attention so that you can reach out as needed to give your clients a little love or support or, just a general check-in. Happenings reports are a fantastic way to get that sort of window into what's new. So creating a happenings report is as simple as saying, who do I want to send it to? Oftentimes it's yourself, although it's kind of cool to send to clients themselves so that they can get a, hey, here's what you did last week. Every week is sort of a reminder like, hey, cool, I did all those things. And maybe sometimes you're accountable to some third party and you might want to send them an email on an automatic fashion. Determine who you're going to report on. So some of the clients, all the clients, pick a couple. And then what sort of things are important for this report? A lot of cases, like maybe we just want them to get the metrics, so that whoever overseers can kind of see what's going on. Maybe actions would be fun. And then the schedule. So what time of day should it send? When should we send it the first time? And then what's the schedule? Is it going to be a weekly thing, a bi-weekly thing, a monthly thing, and so on. We can skip if it's not, if it's a truly boring happenings report, we'll skip it. And whether or not this is a motion. And this basically sets in motion an email that will automatically generate with a summary of these things about these people to the parties that it should go to. It's a nice way to sort of get a digest of like, oh, well, what are my clients all up to? I know the ones that I talked to this week, but there's a couple that I won't talk to for another 2 weeks. And it might be fun to see, oh, 3 action items went late in this person's plan. Or, ooh, their metric is doing rockin'. I should just send them a quick little love note. We can just kind of look at one of these. I'm not sure if I have any that are terribly interesting, but let's see. That's kind of fun. Jamie's got a new action tickets on my screen, and I had a typo close enough. What's fun about these is you can comment directly from your email on a given item. So here it's not as interesting because I'm in-app, but clicking reply to this would actually bring up an email that would post a comment on that item, which both gets logged in CoachAccountable and forwarded along via email. Kind of fun. So that's keeping apprised of things in more automated fashion. Nice little weekly or monthly digest can be great for both you and or people that are interested to know. Let's see, I got a new goodie, which is another report that could be kind of fun to call the Coach Touchpoints report. This is more to do with if you're a team edition account where you're responsible for overseeing a team of coaches. You want to have a sense for like, okay, are all my coaches kind of keeping up with? We promise to, have at least one interaction with our people a week or something like that. The Coach's Touchpoint report looks like this, where you can kind of see like little dashes of like, okay, this coach is interacting with these clients. Okay, John's done a lot of stuff with Jamie Bear, and I've been kind of delinquent with Julie Sanders, and really delinquent, only just reached out today to Ralph Emerson and hasn't even done anything for a while. These graphs look a lot more interesting when it's in a real account. I confess, in this little demo account, I haven't been doing too much active coaching, but you get the gist. So I encourage you guys to even go check out, like, how are you doing when it comes to reaching out to your people and having any sort of contact at all, as far as CoachAccountable can tell. This gives a nice sense of, are you checking with them in a regular clip, or are some accidentally, inadvertently getting left by the wayside? And that might give you a good prompt to like, wow, I haven't talked to this person in 3 weeks. I should probably, just quick check in, maybe post a little comment on their stuff, give them that little love and encouragement. Go check out your Coach Touchpoint report here on the reports page, Coach Touchpoints, and see what you think. So this brand's making.
I think this is, oh my goodness, I just want to comment on this. This is absolutely excellent, because in HubSpot, I can see how I follow up with leads, right? How I'm nurturing them when they're on the funnel. But this is good for existing clients. I absolutely love this. This is a good way to check in weekly to see, how long have I not followed up. This is good.
I think it's funny that you make the comparison to CRM, because we keep adding new features, right? So a lot of the hotly requested things are like, okay, cool, no one has to request those anymore. So we're getting onto the skinny branches. Now, basically, CRM is starting to bubble up priority-wise to being one of the hottest requests that are, frankly, left on the table. We're running low. So I don't know CRMs. I don't use CRMs. It's not the world I traffic in. But insights like the ones you just gave are really nice to know, like, okay, we might be getting closer than we think in terms of being able to expose that to, not full-on clients, but just like managing context with some of the similar views and so on and so forth. So to know that we're kind of encroaching on that world is really heartening, because I don't want it to be a huge project. If we can just do a stripped down version of everything that it does for full-on coaching clients, maybe we're already largely there. That'd be kind of cool. It's an idea. So
I'll be happy to brainstorm with you. I come from a marketing background, so I just it's what I've done the past couple of years. So I work heavily with marketing integration, any of those automation tools, any support tools in that area. But no, I think this is very, very helpful. And you don't want to overcomplicate it, right? It has to fulfill a purpose at the end. What do you want to do? You want to know that you don't drop any ball, and that's basically what this does. Yeah.
Right on. Very cool. Yeah, I'll tap you for that. That'd be great. So, again, an insight into the world. I know coaching software because I design it to scratch my own itches. I don't know CRMs and what anyone cares about. So I think I'll be, talking to you and the community at large for what would CoachAccountable CRM be really kicking. What would it have to do in order to make it so that you could actually wow, I don't need that anymore. It's all right here. Which of course is the holy grail unicorn that everyone's looking for. It does everything. But I need to balance that to make sure it doesn't become a bloated piece of whatever that nobody likes. So there's that delicate dance, but good stuff. All right. Anything else about this before I go on to the next thing? All right, cool. Let's take a quick dabble with invoicing. Invoices are pretty easy to make. But when it comes to automation, let's see here. Invoicing, as you see, you can make a series of invoices, much like that series of appointments that we were able to create. We could, create a couple of them that are going to be, delivered at a routine basis. This was more important about a month and a half ago. It's less so now because Engagements offers a more, shall we say, streamlined experience of what it is to have a recurring invoice generated. This generating a sequence of them, they're all just kind of created right now. And then
that's a whole lot of red there.
There's a lot of red. Again, dummy. It gets during demos like this, it's very easy to create a boatload of them and then just leave it until the next demo when we talk about invoices. It's been a while. But yeah, you can create invoices, you can create a sequence of invoices, and what's nice is you can record payments on this. So you can, if you are hooked up to your online payment processor of choice, Stripe or PayPal, you can actually do it right here. You can put a credit card on file for them. Your clients can do this as well. And here's the key thing of automation. They can opt to, or you can opt to, with their permission, of course. You got to be super respectful about this. Remember it for future use. And with these scheduled invoices, when someone has a card on file, remembered for future use, the system will try to automatically bill that invoice right when its time is up before sending it out. So it'll either be a receipt is, hey, this is paid, nice action, or hey, here's an invoice, click here to pay it, depending on how it goes if they have a credit card on file and so forth. But like I said, this is a nice general purpose way of doing a scheduled series of invoices. This is also handled nicely by Engagements. And let's see, that's about the end of the tour, because the only other things on my agenda, which is great because we're right at 4:58, the only things on my agenda are Engagements and offerings, which we kind of touched into and got to the real strokes of it. I went briefly, but does anyone have any particular questions on those two things? All right, cool. Those are all my tricks. And as a community, I'm very delighted, but also disappointed by no one had anything to show and tell at all. And that's okay, because it can be intimidating. So I think we're done. If anyone wants to hang out or ask other questions or other topics, I'm for it.
Hey, John, it's Jenny. Sorry I'm late.
What's up, Jenny? You were the one who all got excitedly competitive. I was excited for that because I'm like, oh, well, if Jenny's in, there's got to be at least 6 others who will probably be similarly raising their hands. But I think you've been tending to a little one, which would make that hard.
Yeah, 10 months old as of yesterday.
Wow, he's adorable. And thanks for making it, especially because I know that I could not attend, let alone host a webinar with they're off at climbing's class right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not I think I have an idea of everything that you've covered so far, but so I'll just kind of speak briefly on what I'm in the process of doing. So I used to own a gym, a brick and mortar gym, about 5 years ago. And I transitioned from seeing clients face to face to strictly virtual online coaching. And by coaching, I mean strength and conditioning and sports nutrition programming for high performance athletes. So probably a little bit different than some other people. So a lot of what I do online, not just for my one-on-one clients, but for the different types of programs that I run. Some are completely automated, hands-off type programs, and others are semi-hands-on, and others are completely hands-on. And so for all of my clients, we're very strong in education and trying to make sure that we are reaching our clients in as many different sensory ways as possible through touch. So sending them products through the mail that they can open up and touch, through video learning, through reading like articles and things like that. And so, you know, when I was working with clients face to face in the gym, everything that I delivered was straight from me to the client face to face. So when I went completely virtual online, I was very scared of how I would be fulfilled with not being able to see my clients face to face. And my husband, Karina, I know you said you were in marketing. My husband is also in marketing. He actually runs a CRM, Kartra. He's the chief revenue officer for the CRM Kartra, and they compete with ClickFunnels and Infusionsoft and those clients. So I'm very familiar with CRMs, and he explained to me that there are lots of different ways that you can be in front of your client without having to physically be in front of your client. And so part of what we did over the last 5 years was we built what's called an email sequence that all of our clients go through the second they start with us, from day one and it just keeps going. And every week, every day, at different points in their journey, we have strategically placed something to get mailed to them, a video for them to watch, article for them to read, a Facebook group for them to visit, all kinds of things, so that they feel like I'm always there with them, just like it was when I ran the gym and they were coming in every single day and they would get to see me and talk to me and hear me and learn from me every day. And so over the last 5 years, I built a massive campaign in Infusionsoft. And now that John has made this awesome software that I've been a part of for, I think, 4 years now, we are getting rid of Infusionsoft, believe it or not, Confusionsoft. I think we're missing a sock now. I don't know what's going on over here.
That'll happen.
So we're completely getting rid of Infusionsoft as I'm building all of these sequences, all of these tasks that Infusionsoft did. We're building them in through CoachAccountable. And so my favorite, I guess the whole thing that I was going to share with my biggest, one of my biggest pieces of value that I built into my business was our very first 90-day sequence. Our testimonials are automated through this process, including how we ask for testimonials. We send a $25 gift card before we've asked, So we prepay them to ask for a testimonial so that when we do ask, they've already been paid and they can't say no.
Wow. I might steal that. That's interesting.
Yes, so that's built in, and we use a software system called Boast, BOAST.io, and it sends them a message, and they open up the link on their phone, and it tells them the questions, and they record as they're answering their questions. They can see them on the phone. They're answering the questions right there, being recorded on their cell phone, and when they're done, they click complete, and it goes and uploads to your website. So all of that is automated, systematized, hands off. I don't touch it. So all of that is being built into CoachAccountable from Infusionsoft. I'm getting rid of that awful system, which, I mean, it can do some pretty amazing things. I shouldn't say it's awful, but I've been paying a team to run it for me for the longest time. And when I found out that this could easily be, I can make changes by myself when I want to, and I have to explain every single word to the team to do it. I could just do it myself. I was like, sold.
Takes away a lot of friction to innovating, doesn't it?
Yeah. So in that 90-day email series of emails, we send reminders to do their check-ins. We send, so I have been playing with, and since the videos, we can't embed videos in the email sequence in CoachAccountable. I've been playing with screenshotting, a good shot of the video and then pasting the hyperlink underneath. So I think that's going to work out really well. So I'm in the process. I haven't done it through CoachAccountable from start to finish, but we are in process of making that transition. That's probably one of my biggest value assets to share with people, is to automate whatever's in your frequently asked questions, whatever people ask you over and over and over, what you're telling people over and over and over and over and over again. Create emails, create reminders, create that content ahead of time, and strategically place it where people are most consistently asking those types of questions, or those conversations are coming up. So I don't know if this is exactly what you're asking for people to share, but I build it inside. I use courses. Courses is where I build that.
I think Jenny, you qualify as being co-lecturer for me on this one. I think you're a shoo-in for the $50 too. Nice.
Oh, well, it's fine.
Not that it's all about that, but I want to give credit where credit is due. And seriously, thanks for sharing, because there's a sense of ideas. Just as you were saying that, I was like, testimonial thing. And you're using Boost.io, but I was wondering, aside from the automatic publishing to your website, which I'd be a little nervous about anyway, you probably want to have.
You can automatically publish them, or you can set it to you have to
moderator approval sort of thing.
Exactly.
Right on. But what I thought about for that is you could indeed have a CoachAccountable course that has a worksheet that basically drips on day 89 or whatever. Hey, how was this for you? Would you like to, give us a little testimony? Would you like to reflect your thoughts and, check this box that you're cool with us sharing this with the world? And that sort of thing. There'd be a cut and paste job. So not quite as slick as the whole automatic publish into your thing.
Yeah. But, and I'll kind of expand off that very specific comment that you made, is with the worksheet where you're giving questions for a survey basically about how their experience has been, is, we have one of those as well. And usually, so if someone is, scores below an 8, basically, we have different processes and procedures to reach out to them to course correct and figure out what's going on, because we are a referral only based company. We don't do any advertising or promotions or anything, or no Facebook ads or anything like that. So we thrive off of our referrals. So we do whatever we can to nourish our customers into sharing all their friends who are just like them, get them to send them our way.
That I love how that makes a high bar for you to take really good care of your people.
Yes.
So you serve your, by making sure that they have a great experience working with you. What's his name?
So this is Harley, and she just turned 10 months old yesterday.
Sorry, past under an age, under a year. I'm really terrible at guessing genders.
That's okay. I just started going with it at the stores and stuff, because no matter what color I dress her in, unless it's pink, even pink sometimes they still call her a he. I just go with it. Doesn't matter.
We got that for little Kira a lot too, so I feel you.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go back on mute so I don't.
Yeah, thanks for fitting this in among parenting. I know it's a Herculean task, so good on you.
Cool.
All right, good to talk to you, Jenny.
You too.
All right, anyone else want to sort of chime in with thoughts to share or questions or other things you'd like to cover as we wrap up today?
Hi, it's Laura again. Question about, this might add a layer to it. I'm trying to wrap my head around groups.
Yeah.
I'm a relatively new user. I have one, they're technically a private client, but they're partners. So I have them each set up as a client, and then a group for their company, which they can both see. And I understand that you can somehow hide the group, so it's more of an individual experience where they would just see the whiteboards and things in their personal file. So I'm curious about that, but I'm also wanting to do a group course and wonder how does that layer on with what we've been talking about?
Excellent question. So the key to understanding all these things and navigating is recognizing the concept of the scope of an item. So I'll do that with the sort of most common one called like an action. So if we create a group action, that basically says, hey, everyone, or maybe someone, but let's just say for argument's sake, everyone, both of your business partners, what's a typical action that they might do both jointly, responsible for doing?
Oh,
We could do it.
yeah, have their weekly meeting, say, with their staff. Not something I would be telling them to do, but just as an example.
Great. Let's say due by Friday, 7 p.m. That's perfect. All right. So for clients, so there's the client visibility thing, because we're now going to sort of create a group item that then has individual items within it. As in, when we add this group action, both members of the group, John Tester and Tracy Larson, are going to have that assignment, but also we can kind of see, well, how are you guys doing overall with this? And we as coaches always see this one. We can see the aggregate and individual performance, but we can basically say like, hey, you don't even know this is a group assignment. You don't even know the other guy's doing it, or vice versa. Or maybe you can, but we're not going to show like who's got it done or how many people have it done and how many don't. Or maybe we can see how many people have it done and how many don't. That's a progress mirror. We'll see it. Or maybe we can see, well, I can even see when they did it or if they did it specifically. And that's for actions. And there's variations of this theme for worksheets and metrics, which we'll get into shortly. Anyway, reminders we'll skip. We'll send this. And this is great. So now we got the group action. So we can check this little toggle thing and look into, we can drill down, as it were, into the individual items for this person. Okay, John hasn't done it yet, and Tracy hasn't done it yet. And so that's a group item, but there's individual components within it. So they can see their own action item. If we click on John Tester now and go to his actions. Have the weekly staff meeting. All right, well, let's say that John just got this done. That's great. Go back to the course. And now we see that the aggregate performance has been updated. One's done, one's outstanding. And then if we drill down to the specific, we can see that John did it on time, Tracy's not done. And so we can see in here those levels of visibility in terms of what the client's allowed to see. And then we can do these things. So these group actions are all sort of like basically saying, hey, everyone in the group is going to be working on the same thing. A group worksheet would be everyone's going to fill out the same worksheet. And again, the individual versus aggregate performance, if we allowed that highest level of transparency, everyone could read everyone's answers in the worksheet. Sometimes super appropriate, sometimes super not, you decide. Similarly for group metrics, everyone's going to be working on the same thing where their group performance could be the sum or the average of everyone's individual data points. And then you get the group thing. So when it comes to, how you segment your experience between, the individuals are working on what they're onto, but they've also got certain things that are shared. Just recognize that you create group items if it's suitable to be seen at the group level or not. And then in their own client page, they're in their own little silo. And they can share things with the group mutually on a case-by-case basis, on an item-by-item basis. So that's that interplay and dance between group work but individual work, and they're kind of synergistically intertwined however you see fit. And then to the final part of your question, group courses. Well, a group course is basically a course where everything that's dispatched is going out to the members of the group who are participating in the course. So if you have a course that has 3 action items, if you give it as a group course, that means there are going to be 3 group actions. And those group actions in turn will have all the individual ones called, everyone's assigned to do this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how everyone does. So you can create a group experience where you want to sort of segment, well, what's appropriate to be the group shared stuff that everyone's working on? Make that part of the group course. And then individual courses would be, again, things that are just not going to be shared at the level of group in any which way.
So if I wanted a group of people to go through, say, an 8 or a 10-week course at the same rate and pace, you can assign it as a group course.
That's right. And then it would have all the same things of like, okay, this week we all got this video to watch, and this week we all get this worksheet to fill out, and the next day we all got this action item to do in 7 days. And what's great about go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead. I'll follow up.
What's great about something like an 8-week program, you might not have that fully designed. In fact, you might even be like a little tentative of like, how's this going to play out? Well, I'm going to create week 1 and let it go. And then you can sort of build the course ahead of the people who are in it, like you're laying down tracks in front of a very slow moving train. So you can kind of iterate and pivot and sort of perfect it in response to how's it going in practice, and then, build it as you go. And then that template is now done and ready to reuse with next group next time.
And it could also be sold out individually as part of an offering as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The language. So I watched the last 2 webinars that you did to kind of get dialed in here. It seemed to me, and I didn't quite understand it, when you create a group, they might not even know that they're in a group. There's like a visibility piece there.
Correct. It's this setting right here where it's like clients know they're in a group and they can do stuff as members of that group. They can go to the group page and see the group stream, or maybe it's just for me.
Got it.
That's just like administrative backend where it's all tied together, which can be very convenient, but everyone's kind of having their own siloed experience. Even though it's nice to you as the group leader and sort of overseer of the program, maybe it's really great to be able to, in stacked fashion, read everyone's worksheet, if it's a group assignment. So the option is yours.
Okay.
And you can change this one, you can, if you like, what, this is going so well, I'm going to let them talk amongst themselves and see that they're part of this group and so on. Yeah.
So you can change either way midstream?
So this comes down to the settings of the group. So in the basics, you got these things in the participation. So they're not allowed to be a part of it at all, or they are. And hey, what can they do? Can they send to each other? Can they share files with the group? Can they create these group things or not? And then how the name's displayed and that sort of thing. There's a lot of power, a lot of switches, but hopefully if you give yourself a couple minutes to just read through all these things and be like, oh, well, maybe it'd be useful if they could do this. And the level of self-direction and self-generated participation, let's amp it up by giving them more power.
Yeah. You're changing my business. Thank you.
Made my night. Several of you have made my night. Thank you all. That's great. I'm so delighted that this is working well for you and that you're finding some good inspiring ideas of how you can bring this to elevate the programs you give and give your clients more. Like that's what we're all about. That's gives so much meaning and juice to all the heads down time at the keyboard I do programming this thing.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? I'm going to call this last call because we're at T-minus, frankly, 11 minutes before my whole family gets back and I got to be on dinner duty and all that. Jenny, you set the tone, man. Parenting and coach collaborating. It's good stuff. All right, going once, going twice.
Nice.
All right. I'm calling it. Thank you all for showing up. I hope you all learned some good tricks of automation. Jenny, you dominated uncontested as the one who showed and told the hardest. So good on you. You get the $50. We don't even
Sweet.
we don't even have to bring this up to a group debate. And let's see, some chats coming in. Anything time critical before I hit pause? All right, we're golden. All right, I'm going to stop our recording now. And to you at home, thanks for watching. And I hope this was useful. Hope to catch you next time.